Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Improve Our Play. My name is Solistic and today we're going to be talking about the Garden of Terror, which is probably my least favourite, well it is my least favourite map, definitely in the map pool. And the reason for it is, really, it can just be a bit of the games on here can drag out pretty long. I'm not saying that they last in hours and hours, but you know, there's a good 30-40 minute game sometimes. And I don't know, it just seems like you're spending a lot of time running back and forth the map. So the objective is basically you grab this Garden Terror and you run the enemy's base and do damage. But every time that you manage to grab it, you've got to come all the way back to your base, pick it up. Then you've got to run all this distance, especially if you destroyed their forts and keeps. You've got to run all this distance with the Terror, and it's a bit slow anyway. But anyway, we'll go through our introductions first. On the blue team, we have Last as... Is it Last? It is indeed. Sylvanas on Stitches. We have Rude Sky on Rhaegar, Nox on Asmodan, and Marwald on Valor. On the red team, we have the Lime on Jaina. We have Mace on Nazebo, Skylight on Uther, myself Solistic on ETC, and Wraithblade on Zagaris, a full team, which is probably going to have been a Hero League, I would have thought. So, we have a top, middle, and bottom lane on this map, but there is no boss on this map. And I recall myself recently saying that Dragon Show was the only map without a boss, and I totally forgot about this map because I hate it so much. So this map doesn't have a boss either. And the objective on this map is to collect seeds, which in 30 seconds, as you see down here, it will spawn. Now this map goes through a day and night cycle. In the night, you get extra minions that spawn, and when they do spawn, if you kill them, you get seeds. You need to get 100 seeds, and it will spawn a golem in your base, which is quite a powerful thing for destroying structures, which we'll see now. In 3, 2, 1, if we just look around this area here, this big giant one summons here, and so does this guy. Now, let's just have a look at... So each of these side camps gives you 15. So there's 15 and 15, which is obviously 30. And this big guy gives you 60. I know that because there's 90 seeds at one location at the start of the game. And what that means is you can't get a golem on your first one unless you've had someone go to the enemy's one and steal some of theirs. Now, this is probably a good match to show the back and forth on this map because the enemy team didn't want us getting it. We're trying to fight in, but they're trying to deny us as well. But what that's left Wraith do is come down to the enemy camp and steal all of their seeds. So we already have a 50 seed to their 20 because they're trying to fight over this golem so much. Now you really want to grab, if you can get away with grabbing your 2 seeds, which is here, and your golem, and you can get your guy in the bottom lane to just take 10 seeds. Now remember, these camps drop 15, so if you can just get 10, you'll get a first golem. Now the enemy team are still pushing us here, and I was a Garo player the entire time who's been getting XP, which is why the level difference is so huge. We actually have more kills as well, which is nearly leading between the kills and the XP. Let's just check out Wraithblade's experience. So we got 1,600, 1,400, 1,700, and myself and Wraith with over 2,000. Now we've managed to destroy our golem, and upon destroying him, the enemy team has grabbed some of the seeds there, which is how they have 48. Now if we want the golem, we're gonna have to try and get some of these seeds there. This was a particularly good map because there was a lot of team fights, there was a lot of action back and forth, which I really like. I do like that side of the map. Sometimes this doesn't happen. Most of the times the one team will go bottom, the other team will go top. No one will get a golem at the start, and you're just waiting around. Now you can see just how many seeds this thing drops. It is a absolutely phenomenal amount. Now upon capturing it, it will give you a 15-second timer to tell you that the Garden Terror is going to spawn. So we're just going to watch this Terror by here at the moment. Just checking it was still recording. And here it is. The Terror spawns, and I'm going to jump in it. it gives you a minute to pick it up. And upon getting this Terror, it gives you a couple of abilities. It gives you a, if you press a Q, it puts out a polymorph that will turn whoever's underneath it into a plant that can't attack for 2.5 seconds. Its W ability, which I will show you now, will spawn a plant seed. This plant seed will lock down all buildings, stop them from attacking, and it will deal damage to them. The enemy team is destroying that really quick. But it will also destroy minions and mercenaries. So if you're running past the lane and you need it cleared quickly, and let's say for instance you're in top lane but you want to go bottom, you can chuck that seed down. Now this is what the polymorph does. It turns you into a plant, it slows you down. The enemy team are doing a really good job of chasing this Terror down. But what that can lead into is the one team now deciding to push a lane. Now, when this thing dies, obviously I'm going to come out of it. So I don't want to be caught behind enemy lines. I don't want to end up dying. So I decided to come down here with with my team. We'll do a little bit of a push, get a bit more value out of it. And then we'll just fall back to our lanes. One of the tactics that I've seen is pretty common with this is people doing what I'm about to do with it now, which is just run past the lane, throw a seed down. If you just watch how much this does, if it goes uninterrupted, it will do a big portion. It'll take up these towers and do most of this health. And this is something that a lot of people will do. They'll run back full lanes and they'll just dump seeds down. That's one tactic to do with it. Another tactic that I like to do myself is, so send the Terror up here, push the top lane, and get the rest of your team to come down the bottom and push the bottom lane. Now that's very hard to deal with, because if you only commit one person, it's not so much the Terror that deals the damage, it is the seed it spawns, but the Terror can do a lot of damage. So you have to commit resources here, and you have to commit resources here. Now, if you can, just capture these mercenary camps before you get the Garden Terror. Because when you get the Garden Terror, all these camps disappear. So if you can capture some mercenaries to push down the lanes, whilst you've got the Terror and your players are pushing down lanes, it's very hard to deal with. Now we've just hit level 10 here, and the kill count is 3 to 6. But obviously we've got a lot of structure damage done. Towers, all of their towers actually, I believe. All but this top one. So the next night phase is going to start in 18 seconds. We're having a bit of a team fight in mid. Managed to get a decent mosh pit off. And we get a good Divine Storm off there, off Skylight. And we're going to push the enemy team really far back here. They're really getting hit hard by this. And that's because we have that level 10 before they do. And that is a massive advantage. So now we want to go back. We're going to get these seeds now. I'm dead on our team, and the Stitches and the Rhaegar are both down as well. So it's back up here to grab these seeds. We have our one lot of guys capping these, are over here. And Wraithblade capping their seeds again. They're losing a lot of seeds here because of this, and he's going to go to their other camp. It's risky, but the enemy team, we can get away with it. And if you can get away with it, I mean, deny them all you want. We have 91 seeds at this point. They're trying to stop us getting our boss, but in doing so, they forfeited 30 seeds just on those camps there. Stitch is putting the hook out there, which isn't going to do anything, to not much of a follow-up. We get a good Maw here, which is going to grab 2 players. And they get caught in a blizzard. Power slide by myself, Jaina's blizzard, and they're just going to fall. Now, they've got 2 players dead, with our Zebo player chasing them back. And this is going to result in us taking down our Terror. So we have 93 seeds. Now we've got another Terror growing. Something I will say, guys, is if you've got a Terror growing, don't think, oh, there's no point grabbing seeds, because you can still collect seeds. And if you get enough seeds, you can actually grab a Terror, go and use it, and the seeds will carry over. So if you've got another 100. You can actually summon another Terror. I think it gives you about a 15-second delay time, but you can then grab another Terror immediately. So you can keep capturing these seeds whilst the Terror is in place. I've decided to grab the Terror, and I'm going to push top lane. And the reason for that is because we're fighting their golem down the bottom. So if we're fighting their golem down the bottom, they can't be dealing with the Terror. Just going to have a look at a little bit of this team fight. We're going to go up to the objective, because this is what we want to have a look at. If you watch these minions by here on the enemy team, I'm not attacking them. This is solely what the plant's doing, and the plant does a phenomenal job at killing these. Now, because I've gone uncontested up here, the tower hasn't fired back. I should have placed this a little bit further back. I'm just going to pull another one down, and I'm going to leave the lane. And the reason for that is the tower can't fire back. It's going to fall because of these seeds. There's still a fight over bottom, and we're getting pushed back, but that's totally fine. It really doesn't matter, because I'm now in the middle lane. Totally uncontested, because they're all still trying to fight over this golem. Now, because they've left it uncontested, they're going to lose. Don't forget, they've lost their top fort and their top tower. They've now lost their middle tower and their middle fort again. Now I'm going to head my way down into the bottom lane to try and deal with this. Our team's just clearing up the mercenaries here. They have 98 seeds. 98 seeds, which means absolutely nothing, because until you get 100, you can't do a single thing. I've asked my team for help here. The team are going to come in with me now, and they've also lost their bottom lane, and that's solely because of the early games that we got. The enemy team find it very hard to come back. The enemy team's nearly a level 11, so it's 11 plays 14 all but, really. But the level advantages give us such a massive advantage here. I've managed to get a mosh pit on 3 members of the enemy team, and they're going to end up falling. Now, the mercenary camps here, as I said, as soon as you pick up the golem, they disappear. But if you start these camps before you pick up the golem, they will stay here. So in an ideal world, if you can grab the Terror, say push the Terror in one lane, let's just say top for argument's sake, then your team pushes middle, and you grab the mercenaries that all push the bottom lane, fantastic. The enemy team has got so much to deal with. If you start them, then you grab the Terror, it's fine. But the moment you pick up that Terror, all these mercenary camps will disappear. The ideal time to grab these mercenaries as well is also just before the night phase comes. And the reason for that is if the enemy team is dealing with the mercenaries, they're not getting the seeds. If they're getting the seeds, as we've seen, if you focus in seeds, other things can spiral out of control. So if you grab those camps just before the night phase, what that's going to mean is if they all get in seeds, the minions are going to be pushing down the lane. If they deal with the mercenaries, they're not all going to be at the seeds, which means you can take advantage of that. The enemy team still has not managed to get any seeds because there's been no night phase. This Stitches is going to get caught out here, getting killed by our Uther player. And unfortunately, it's going a bit downhill. Did I introduce the enemy team? I did indeed, yes. It's okay. Something I'm trying to get better at is introducing all players on both sides rather than just the team I play with. We have mercenaries pushing down the top lane now as we was pushing the middle lane. And they've done a good job. They've pushed the lane down, but this is the reason why you don't just grab mercenaries at a random time, because the enemy team's just going to walk over, kill it. What's that going to let us do? It's going to allow us to get these mercenaries. Now it's 25 seconds until the night. Now this would have been the ideal time to pick these up. Now the enemy team only need 2 seeds to get their golem. It's going to be pretty impossible to stop them getting that. Now, because of the advantage we're in, we're going to come down here, we're going to take the enemy's night camp. Now, remember what I said about taking camps. It's 3 seconds till night phase. We're going to pick up this camp here, and we're going to take the enemy's seeds. The enemy's going to come up here and just take ours uncontested. They're going to get their first golem of the match. The mercenaries that we capped earlier are just pushing here, and the enemy knights are also trying to push up this lane here. We've decided now that we know where the enemy is because we've seen the minions leave. And what the enemy team is going to do is just, they're not going to fight us, they're just going to let us get a siege. Which of course is going to allow us to get another golem. Now because it's night phase and the enemy team, they've had to come down here. And I would have thought they're going to deal with these just by pressing W, but the enemy team doesn't. Now let's just have a look. Everything's got full health here, so let's just look this back up in a minute. Now, let's just see what their tactic is. Their tactic is to plant the seed and run away, which is a totally valid tactic. Let's just watch this seed. It takes about a quarter of the health off, I believe. Yes, over a quarter. It's not far off a half, really, just from a seed and running away. I mosh pitted this solely on the principle to try and slow it down. Now, one of the tactics you can do to counter this is you can just leave a player roaming between forts and just destroy the seed. That's the most important thing, destroy the seed. Remember, it took half the health off one of these before. Doesn't even taken a quarter off yet. So we're just going to roam back and forth, and we're going to kill it. Now the mercenaries down here managed to take off. Remember, this had full health. They managed to take off 3/4 of the health of it, just because the enemy team was distracted. Now we've waited as long as we can to grab this, and the reason being is the enemy's one is going to run out in 26 seconds. So our one will go uncontested. So one of the tactics is to run between lanes and destroy the plants. The other tactic is you can try and kill a golem, but honestly I think probably the best tactic... I mean, if you can kill it, great, fantastic. I'm going to place now a polymorph, and I'm just going to show you how powerful that is. It slows them down, they're unable to use abilities. So he's pretty good, and unlike the Dragonite, I have to say this, guys, you get bonus damage when you're in this. Now you might say, well, what's the difference between this and the Dragonite? The Dragonite only gains bonus damage versus structures. The Garden Terror gets bonus damage. Flat out an increase. If you're in this with something like an ETC that does relatively low damage, or a Lost Viking, or an Abatha, you're really gaining a big damage boost. It's very tanky as well. But don't forget, when this thing falls, you're popping out of it. So don't try and overcommit with it, guys. I've seen a lot of teams like dive straight into the enemy base, the Garden Terror dies end game, we kill a player, and the player's out of the match for 65 seconds, and we end up winning just because he's out of this so long. Now the enemy team is all up, and we wasn't sure if we could take their core. So we decided for the safe option of let's just take another keep. I asked the team to focus the gate by here so we have an escape route, which we do. Which is fine. Now we've managed to take out all 3 of the enemy's keeps, or we're about to now. Oh, we've got the last hit in there. And we managed to get away there. The Stitches overcommits, jumps in too far, and ends up falling because the team wasn't close enough. Upon killing the Stitches, we've decided we can actually push in here again. And I've got a mosh pit on there. Vegas, not the best mosh pit, but the healer is now out of the game. I'm going to try and fall back here and just heal myself up as much as humanly possible. Just remember, the importance of this map is the seeds, guys. It is a very powerful thing, but remember, there's 90 seeds from your side. That's from 15 from both the little camps and 60 from the big guys. Now, if you want to get that first golem the very first time, you've got to take 10 seeds. So if you can get someone in here to sneak some seeds, fantastic. But also remember, if you've got all the seeds and you can still get seeds, brilliant. That's something that you can do. You can get those extra seeds. We've capped the enemy mercenaries because we're in the advantage. And we do end up going on to this game. I mean, at this point, we're 20 plays, nearly 16. Well, 16 now. But just before they got 16, we had our 16 talents and we had our 20 talents. That is a massive advantage. They're getting pushed in all lanes. I hope the video's helped you anyway. If you've got any comments, post them below. If you want to know anything or got any questions, please feel free to ask below. I hope you all have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.